Hey everyone, Omni here, and welcome back to WUCHANG Fallen Feathers. So I thought I'd come back and try to do another video where we kind of go over everything in the skill tree. Because the skill tree is so large, we'll probably go through it in sections. So we'll do the skill tree for the 5 different weapon types, and then we'll probably end it with the uh, the utilitarian part of not utilitarian, utility part of the tree on the left side, and just kind of go over each and every node and let you know what you get, so that way, if you're going for something specific, you can you can just kind of mix and match the nodes and determine your path from there, right? So, with all that being said, let's get started. So, as we said before, we have this entire skill tree, and there's actually something down here that I still haven't gotten, so let me just unlock that real quick. I think it's down here. There we go, it's right there. Okay, and let me just make sure here that I'm not missing any other nodes. I don't believe that I am, but better safe than sorry, right? Okay, I think I'm good with that. So now we're going to respec, just so we have our stuff back. Like I said, I believe that I have everything. Yeah, because that's the end of that one. Do we have everything unlocked? Okay. So, in this episode, we will start, since this is going to be last, we'll just start in the top left with axes, and then we'll just go around like this, clockwise, until we eventually get back here. So, axes. Axes are probably, or definitely, they're the slowest weapon in the game, right? But with that, I can speed. They more than make up for in power. If you ever are fighting any humanoid enemies specifically, the axe is perfect for staggering and stun locking enemies in an animation. You can get past your inner demon once your madness has ascended to the maximum it can. You can stun lock her really easily with an axe. And so this is a good weapon to use if you're focused on strength primarily. That would be the main stat that you want to use. But also, if you want a lot of endurance or if you want a lot of health, this is also um, a good weapon type to invest in. Now, because it hits so hard, it takes a lot of endurance. Each hit takes a lot of endurance, and that's why endurance plays a big part in it. That's kind of your secondary stat. Um, so when you go down this tree, and if you max it out, then more than likely you're going to have a lot of strength and a lot of endurance, right? So the first skill that they give you is block. Raises your axe to defend against enemy attacks. Greatly reduces the damage of enemy attacks. Doesn't outright negate it, 100%, but you don't take as much damage at all. So this is a good one to have. This is also the starting discipline for this. That's what all of these are. They're the let's stand for that. They're the starting discipline. Um, so then we go up. We have Thunderous Cleave. The fourth of the fourth attack of an axe light attack combo grants 3 stacks of Skyborn Might if it hits an enemy. And again, you need that Skyborn Might to use spells, use swift draws, swift strikes, all that different kinds of stuff. So this is a good one to have, and just because it's an axe and because you're stun locking people, 3 stacks. I mean, 3 stacks is 3 stacks, right? That is the equivalent of 3 dodges without doing any kinds of damage, or that is maybe, I think it's with like greatsword. I think like the second or third hit might grant you a stack. That's like doing that combination 3 different times. So this is really good. So we'll go and we'll get that. Then you have just a single strength level. Then you have Tide Turner. The third attack of an axe slide attack combo restores some stamina back. So in conjunction with having some endurance here, or a lot of endurance in this tree, you've also got this trait here that will give you some stamina back when the third attack of an axe's light attack combo hits, right? So that's good. And then we kind of come to a split here. So you can either go the vitality route or you can go the endurance route. You also want to go up here, and then there's a variant for block. Blocking attacks costs less stamina, so however much it cost before, now it costs less, which is pretty good. I think we'll start going to the left. So both of these have, a big 5 node for +5 vitality, +5 endurance. Then you go up, Shudder and Crush. You can consume 1 stack of Skyborn Might to quickly strike with charged heavy axe attacks. This is very good, especially on bosses that you've evaded a specific moveset that leaves their back open. So you can dodge behind them and then hurry and hold your charge heavy button or charge your heavy attack button, and boom, you can get a backstab and get an obliterate attack, right? So this is a very good trait to have for not just axe but any weapon. Then we have Strong Blade. This is one of, I think, 3 nodes on this tree that increases the strength, or the reinforcement rather, of your weapon. So this costs, to start, it costs Faint Red Feathers. Costs 2, then 4, then 6, and then that's it. And then afterwards, when we go over here, it's going to cost Brilliant Feathers. And I thought about it, and I think, if I'm correct, after Brilliant Feathers is Radiant Feathers. And so you'll need, let's see, because this goes the same way. It goes 2 Brilliant Feathers, then 4, then 6, and then Radiant Feathers, 2, 4, 6. And then by the time you've gotten to +9, the only thing left to do is go get a Lustrous Red Feather. And like I said before, I've only seen like 2 different spots where you can get that. But that being said, that means that if you're splitting your Red Mercury Essence between trees, then by definition, you could potentially get 2 +10 weapons, a +10 axe and a +10 longsword, or a +10, dual blades or whatever. Within a single playthrough, it seems like that is possible, right? So then we go up again from Shudder and Crush, and we have another lone +1 vitality. This is only 1 level. Then we have a +1 vitality that is 3 levels, so it's technically +3, so we can go and get that. Then we also have a split here, so if we continue to go up, we'll get some strength. And if we go over, we'll also get some strength, but this one is only 1 level. This one is 3, right? Then you have your first discipline that you can learn, Earth Shatter. Pound your axe into the ground to create a powerful shockwave. Use with Skyborn Might to bolster your resilience. Now, what is resilience? Resilience renders your attacks more difficult to interrupt. So resilience, another word for that could be poise. This gives you an incredible amount of poise for a certain amount of time. And this is also a good thing to want, especially with axes, because like I said, not only are you stun locking them as you're attacking them, but you also kind of want to be a tank when you are attacking, when you're charging stuff up. This is very good if like you use Earth Shatter and then you go and you dodge an attack, get a little bit more Skyborn Might, like maybe a feather, but more of Skyward, or a stack, I should say, a stack more Skyborn Might. Charge that R2 because you've got Shudder and Crush, and then boom, hit an enemy in the back. You're ready for an obliterate attack. Hit them with the obliterate attack, go up to them, and you can just go to town with them while they're getting up because there's no iframes as they're getting up, right? So Earth Shatter is really good simply because it does a decent amount of damage, but what you really want is that resilience. That resilience is key here. So we can unlock Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, and then its first variant is using Shatter with Skyborn Might exposes nearby enemies' vulnerabilities further. There are certain, I think there's like certain parts of an enemy, depending on the enemy, that kind of are highlighted, or there's kind of like a how do I want to say it? It's kind of like a circle that will show up on them when you use this like this to let you know, hey, this is a weak point. You need to attack this, right? It's really good for like bosses and stuff like that. I haven't seen it much on like regular enemies, even though it does exist. But this is good if you kind of need just a little bit more information about the enemies or the bosses that you're fighting. Earth Shatter Variant 1 is a good one to use, but it only occurs when you use it with Skyborn Might, right? And then Variant 2, using Earth Shatter with Skyborn Might grants resilience for a longer duration. So you already get it. You already get it by default with just this. This makes it longer, which is a really good one to have. So we're gonna get that one. Then as we go up from that, we have one level of +1 vitality. Then we have Axe and Hook. Charged heavy attacks gain Clash. Now, as I said before, Clash will clash the weapons with your enemy, deflecting most of the incoming damage. Now, on top of deflecting that damage, it's not mitigating it completely, but you just won't be hit with as much damage. You also have the ability to continue your turn, right? The way that I put it to my friend when I was talking to him about it, and this might not make a whole lot of sense to everybody because it's a fighting game term, but Clash is good because whenever you clash with somebody, you're +9. Now, in fighting game terms, that means that it's no longer the enemy's turn. It means that if they try to do anything while they're -9, they're gonna get hit. They're gonna take some kind of damage. They can't move, they can't step, they can't do anything. We're talking about like a 3D fighter. They can't step into the background or the foreground. They can't jump, they can't move, they can't attack. Even with the fastest attack in the game, you can't do any of that. You're -9. It is not your turn anymore. You have to defend. So with Clash, that's kind of what Clash is. Clash makes you +9, which means it's your turn and you can do whatever it is that you want to do, whether that's hit or step or move or whatever. It's your turn. So Clash is very good with any weapon that you decide that you want to use it with. Because on top of you still being +9, you also aren't taking as much damage. Then if we kind of went over here to the right, we have one level of +1 strength. We've got another strong blade. So we've got this one, and then this one, and then this one. And these are the ones we're going to fill out. If we fill all those out, then we get to be +9 with axes. And then as we reach the top, there's one more, and it costs a lustrous red feather. So that's this, but we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue on this left side. You also, so from axe and hook, you can go up. You have 3 levels of +1 vitality. You have then going up further, you have another level, 3 levels of +1 vitality. Then going up, you have 1 level of +1 vitality. Then going over here to the left, you have 1 level of +1 strength, and then 1 level of +5 strength. Very good. Going over from the 1 level of +1 strength, another level of +1 strength. Going down 5 levels of +1 vitality, which I won't be able to get all at once. Yeah, still need some more. I really need to level up on this character. But right after this +5 here, you have the second discipline, Rampage, costs 2 stacks of Skyborn Might. Relies on the axe's natural heft to deliver powerful cleaves. Used with Skyborn Might for greater potency. So this is just, as you can see on the right side, this is just a big hit. Just a super big hit. And it hurts. It does its own base damage on top of any damage that you might be adding onto it with, say, something like a temperance or all these different stat bonuses that we've been getting as we've made our way up here. Variant 1 of Rampage, using Rampage with Skyborn Might now requires more Skyborn Might. For a while after using Rampage, dealing melee damage to enemies also heals you. So it's gonna cost you a little bit more. So it's probably gonna cost you like an extra stack. So instead of it being 2, now it's 3. But the benefit to that is that for a while, which is some indeterminate amount of time, because they don't ever want to just tell us 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever, dealing melee damage also to enemies also heals you. So you gain leech from it, which is also super, super good. Especially if you're getting in there and going to town and you've got your stamina set how it needs to be set. You can regain health very quickly. And if you're regaining health from being aggressive, a la Bloodborne, then you never have to use your mana vases. And that's also, very good. Oh, and this also stacks with, well, no, I probably shouldn't say that. I think you can use leech on axes. The bone needle for temperance. I think you can use leech. We'll have to figure that out when we finally get to that side of it. But this is good simply because you get health back when you attack. And if you clash along the way, well, yeah, you might have lost that little bit of health, but again, it's still your turn. You're still +9, so you can keep going with that combo provided you have enough stamina. Very good variant. And then variant 2 is Rampage exposes the vulnerability of humanoid enemies further, even sending them flying. As you can see, that cat right there, he just caught the best of it, and he's gone. So not only will it expose their vulnerability, their weak points, stuff like that, it might even send them flying. And if they're flying, now, to use another fighting game turn, now you're +42, which is a guaranteed jump in Street Fighter. If you get a hard knockdown in Street Fighter and you're +42, that's a guaranteed jump in. Not a guarantee, that's a free jump in, is what I should say. That's a free jump in. So that's basically what this does. You knock them on their ass, and now you're +42. Get your jump in, go in, and just go to town. So after we've come out of this little this little part right here, we can go up. We have 1 level of +1 strength. We have another level of +1 strength going further. Then we reach the top of the tree where we have 1 more level of +1 strength. Going down, we have 5 levels of +1 endurance. And then we also have the last strong blade node in the tree. This will be what gets us to +10 when we finally have it. And then we can kind of go over to the right side now. So now we're on the right side and we have more strength, 1 level of endurance going over here, 1 level of strength, 1 level of strength that's +5 strength, 1 level of strength, 5 levels of endurance. And then you have your third discipline, Colossal Smash, takes 2 stacks of Skyborn Might. Raise your axe high before bringing it crashing down. Use with Skyborn Might to create a Morris of red mercury, causing corruption buildup to enemies within it. So corruption in this game could be something. It could be like Scarlet Rot, basically, in Elden Ring. It's just like really bad poison or toxic, even in like Dark Souls, right? It's just a heavy degradation of the health, and they'll lose health gradually as it's procced until it runs out. So this not only does physical damage, but if they stand in the little, can I? Oh, what is that? Display state. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I thought maybe I could make that video over there a bit bigger, but as you do it, there's just kind of like this red pool that comes up after. So you're not only doing the physical, as they stand in that red pool, they're gaining corruption until eventually corruption procs, right? And then variant 1, using Colossal Smash with Skyborn Might creates a Morris of red mercury. Should the Morris come into contact with flame, a massive explosion occurs, dealing fire damage to enemies and causing burn buildup. So now we're kind of combining things, right? Because like I told you before, axes can only be, at least from an element standpoint, they can only be tempered with fire, right? So if you have this Colossal Smash variant 1, and your axe has been tempered with fire, and you use this, and then you use this, well, you're going to cause an explosion. Um, or you can do it another way where you just hit them with it, let them sit in the corruption, let corruption proc, and then temper your blade with fire, hit it again, blow them up. Now they're corrupt. Now they have corruption on them and they have burn on them. Because there's also like benedictions and stuff that you can use that increase the potency of burn. So you can kind of like stack this if you want it to stack this. This one's really good. This is the one that I always got when I was using it. Then you also have variant 2. Using Colossal Smash with Skyborn Might creates an even larger Burning Morris. So now that pool is even bigger. And just takes more time for them to get out of it, which furthers the amount of time they're in it, which gives more corruption damage, basically. Going back over, going down, we have 3 levels of +1 endurance, 3 levels of +1 endurance. Chop and Weave, another trait. The third attack of an axe, light attack combo, gains clash. So you don't have to just worry about clash when it comes to charging heavy attacks. That's one way. But if you're just going to town on your R1, your light attack combo, third hit will clash. You can keep going. You can mitigate some of that damage and hit him with the final hit, doing a large amount of damage. Very good. Then we go over here. We've got 1 level of +1 strength. Going down here, we have 1 level of +1 endurance, 1 level of +1 strength, 3 levels of +1 endurance, 3 levels of +1 strength, and then our 4th discipline, Whirlwind, costs 2 stacks of Skyborn Might. Turn with great force as you swing your mighty axe, finishing with a final massive strike. Use with Skyborn Might for greater potency, just means it hits harder. Variant 1, Whirlwind becomes more difficult to interrupt, which means that you kind of gain poise with this. It's not like full-blown resilience that you get with it. It's just harder to interrupt that animation. They're gonna take some hits, right, before they can hit you enough to be able to get you out of it, basically. Then variant 2, while at above 90% madness, Whirlwind inflicts poise break buildup when used with Skyborn Might. So not only are they taking all these hits, not only do you maybe have this tempered to where you can potentially, with fire, so that you can potentially proc burn on them, but at above 90% madness, it also inflicts poise break buildup, which once that procs, I think it takes a good chunk of damage, kind of like how bleed does, and it, as it says, breaks their poise. They're kind of left open for a brief period of time, and you can just continue to go forward, right? So this is the one that I always use because I'm always trying to stack everything that I possibly can, whether that's status ailments or damage or whatever it might be, right? So that's a good one to have. 3, and then you have going back down towards the beginning of the tree, you have +1 level of +1 endurance. You also have strike and cleave. Grants slightly increased attack speed when launching light axe attacks at a certain pace. So if we can look at this video over here, you notice that there's like these white feathers that's coming from her. That is your timing right there. If you hit the attack button as those white feathers are coming out, you'll continue your combo at an increased speed, and it continues to make it just makes the combo more fluid. It's not as rugged, or maybe rigid is the word I'm looking for, as it would otherwise be if you didn't have this trait. So this is a good one to have. And then going over, there's our other strong blade that we'll have. And then finally, in and out, if we decided to go right from the beginning, there's a +1 level of +5 endurance. So as you can see from this tree, the main thing here seems to be, if you go left, you're focusing on your strength and on your vitality. If you go right, you're focusing on your endurance and your strength. And no matter which way that you go, you're not necessarily in the wrong. either way that you go. But you're gonna, in my opinion, you would choose which way to go based off the disciplines. Earth Shatter is very good. Why? Because it gives you resilience if used with Skyborn Might. Now it takes 3 stacks. Um, 3 stacks is not a small amount, but as we saw from here, not from here, where is it at? Where was the one that I saw that gave you 3 stacks? That one. The fourth attack of an axe light attack combo grants 3 stacks, right? So if you're able to get a full combo off, you automatically get the amount of stacks that you need to use this, right? So this is a good one to have. Gain a little bit of poise and do a lot of damage at the same time, and then eventually working your way up to Rampage, which is just big hit, right? Unga bunga hit. And then you can also go into variant 1 of Rampage eventually, um, and allow your melee attacks to heal you. So they gain leech for a time, which anything that you can do to gain health without having to use your face is always like good, right? That's never a bad thing to be able to do that, right? So yeah, that is the axe skill tree. And it's full of really powerful attacks, really hefty attacks. Some utility stuff in there, like like that kind of stuff. This returns stamina. This gives you 3 stacks of Skyborn Might. If you attack with the fourth hit, charging heavy axe attacks quickly using Skyborn Might, stuff like that. So you definitely are going to be able, or not be able, but need to have a decent amount of Skyborn Might in order to use any of these trees, not just axe, but any of these trees effectively. Um, and this one is just, the first type that shows you like why you would need that stuff, right? So, well, that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope this was informative. If there's anything that you might have a question about that I did not go over in as much detail as you needed, drop me a comment, let me know, and I will try to answer it the best that I can. Um, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. This is Omni. God bless you all, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.